bike to Asbury Park. The wheels of my bike go on away. Riding my bike to Asbury Park on a sunny, sunny day in May. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on. Thought I'd take a ride downtown one sunny day as I was sitting downtown in the peddling style. That shaking that steam. Bike to Asbury Park. The wheels of my bike go on away. Riding my bike to Asbury Park on a sunny, sunny day in May. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on. Odds are against me, but the man can't get me. Odds are against me, but the man can't get me. Odds are against me, but the man can't get me. Yeah. Riding my bike to Asbury Park. Wheels on my bike come on away. Riding my bike to Asbury Park on a sunny, sunny day. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on, ride on. Ride on, ride on, ride on, ride on. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. And downtown in a peddling style, and downtown in a peddling style, and downtown in a peddling style. Riding my bike to Asbury Park. Wheels on my bike go on away. Riding my bike to Asbury Park on a sunny, sunny day. Hey everybody. Today's episode is about newspapers, starting with the Asbury Park Press. The Asbury Park Press has a long history of music writing. Their best music writer was a guy, our friend Bob Santelli, who started out as a music writer for the Asbury Park Press while getting his musicology degree from Monmouth University. And from then he went on to start writing books about music, the Big Book of Blues. That was a great one. Big Danny and I played at his book signing thing at Monmouth, at the Monmouth Mall. And then from then, his career, the arc of his career, just went straight up. He became the curator for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And then he was hired away by a dot-com billionaire who started a museum called the Jimi Hendrix Experience Museum in Seattle. And from then he became the head guy of the Smithsonian Institute, Library of Congress, putting on big concerts that to memorialize Robert Johnson, Woody Guthrie, Lead Belly. And he's also the Springsteen Archives. He's the head of that. So he's Asbury Park Press produced the preeminent musicologist from the United States and the world. He's probably the best musicologist in the world, undoubtedly. And the Asbury Park Press still has some good music writers. Rich Skelly, he's very supportive of us as well. Chris Jordan, Alex. Every week they have the weekend section or whatever it's called. So the Asbury Park Press has a long history of music writing. But other than that, they don't really, I wouldn't say they reflect our values. They don't help us with our quest to make it safer to ride bikes or for pedestrians. It's really a suburban car culture newspaper with suburban bias. And they also think me and my friends should go to jail for using marijuana. But it is what it is, as they say. Asbury Park Press. Their music writing is good. But now we're going to move on. We're going to New York with a Jimmy Reed song called Going to New York. Thanks, everybody. Jimmy Reed song about going to New York, getting on a quiz show. Yeah, the New York Times. New York Times music writing is okay. They produce one good guy, Robert Palmer, not the singer, Robert Palmer, the music critic. He was kind of a musician himself. Played the kind of. But he wrote a lot about blues, and also made an excellent documentary called Deep Blues about the North Mississippi blues guys, Arl Burnside, and, Junior Kimbrough. But I guess we've been in the New York Times once in a while, not too often. They write about us. When they used to have the New Jersey section, then they wrote about us. But I guess it's hard to get in the New York Times. You can make it there, you can make it anywhere. New York Times is good about covering issues of pedestrian rights and safety and bicycling. You know, they always quote transportation alternatives, and they're on the side of the pedestrians. You know, they know what cars are ruining New York City and just about everywhere else. So we agree with the New York Times about that, and also they've been in favor of legalizing marijuana for decades. I read the New York Times every day, for better or worse. Maybe I waste a lot of time reading the paper, but I don't know. Also, I've become friends with the delivery guy. You know, he comes very early in the morning. Sometimes I see him, we talk. I guess we've only shared a few sentences, but we do share an affection for what the Asbury Park Press would like to put us in jail for. Him more than me. New York Times. Yeah, I used to deliver papers as a kid too. Starting with the TV Guide. I must have only been 10 years old because I remember when the Monkees were on the cover. I loved the Monkees. And then I moved on to the delivering the Red Bank Register when we lived in Homedale, which is a hilly town where houses are far away. I think sometimes it would take me all afternoon. In the winter, it'd be almost dark when I got back, riding a bike, delivering papers. And then I also delivered a weekly newspaper called The Independent, which is one of the first of those weekly papers. That one was free. I just had to throw it on their driveways. But I'm glad I had a paper routes when I'm a kid. I'm grateful to my parents for encouraging me or allowing me to have a paper route when I was a kid. They probably did it so I would develop a work ethic. That didn't work, but I did develop a lifelong appreciation for riding bicycles and being outside and newspapers. I read the paper every day when I was a kid. I still read the paper every day. You'll never see kids delivering the paper around here in Neptune City. They don't even ride bikes. It's too dangerous. Parents won't let kids ride bikes in this town, rightly so. They're not afraid of guns or kidnapping or devil worshippers. They're afraid of speeding traffic, but nobody ever does anything about it. They say that's the way it's always been, but it was not always that way. It's just the way it is now. Because some lame politicians, we have the worst. Well, that's for next week. Next week we'll get into that issue. And we'll name names and nicknames. But let's move on to the weekly papers that we have around here. Here's the Tri-City News. Tri-City News is a paper like in the tradition of an underground newspaper, like the Oracle in San Francisco or the Village Voice or New Times in Miami. They're very good at letting you know what's happening culturally. You know, like this week, our friend Jason Thompson wrote an interview with some band spreading joy around Asbury Park, the Ocean Avenue Stompers, some horn band that has been playing on the streets in Asbury Park, walking around, playing the tuba and horns. That's great. They can do that in Asbury. I can't walk around Neptune City and play. I would be arrested or run over. But the Tri-City News is written by our friend Dan Jacobson. Started it about 20 years ago, and he's been very supportive of our band. You know, I think he met Jason Thompson at the Raging Cajun, and he's always written about us. In fact, a couple years ago, he came every Monday night. He didn't miss a single Monday night. So now we call it the Dan Jacobson Award. When somebody comes every week, we give them the Dan Jacobson Award. I like the Tri-City News as well. It's good for knowing what's going on, you know, like seeing who's playing where, and it writes about not so much about politics as culture, you know, the arts, music, movies. Oh, let me play a song for Dan Jacobson. Always told me to play fast songs. He said people like the fast songs. And he's probably right. Here's a song by Gatemouth Brown called Better Not Boogie Slow. You better be fast, you better not boogie slow. Got boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. You got to boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Real fast, you better not boogie slow. Boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Thanks, everybody. Gatemouth Brown song called You Better Not Boogie Slow. I liked him. He was great, Gatemouth Brown. He also played the violin and the guitar. He was great. Here's a Gatemouth Brown story. One time my friends from New York City, the band Loop Guru, they had a van that they parked in New York, and naturally it got covered with graffiti. And they were playing a festival with Gatemouth Brown. He just couldn't get over their van being covered with graffiti. Like, they tried to talk to him about one subject, and he would keep coming back. He goes, "How did that happen? Why?" You know. He goes, they told him, if that was me, I would sit in that van all night with a shotgun, and I'm sure he would. Okay. Now what? We're moving on to the Coaster. Last but not least, another weekly newspaper called The Coaster. They've been in Asbury all along, all along. They've never left. Tri-City's been around for 20 years. Asbury Park Press, they used to be in Asbury Park. They used to have their office there, but then they left and moved to the suburbs. But back to the Coaster. What's a good song to play for the Coaster? Oh yeah. Here's a song called Rootin' for the Underdog, one of our songs. this harmonica? The coaster is a humble, simple paper. Not flashy at all. That's why they're the underdog. Rooting for the underdog. Rooting for the underdog. Rooting for the underdog. Rooting for the underdog. The race doesn't always go to the swift. Grace isn't earned, it comes as a gift. But so is written in a chapter and verse. The first shall be last, the last shall be first. Rooting for the underdog. Rooting for the underdog. Run to the little back of the pack, playing second fiddle. Odds are all stacked, with eyes to see it and ears to hear it. Can't break a stride, can't break a spirit. Thanks, everybody. One of our big hits, Rooting for the Underdog. I forget which CD that was on. One of them. The one with Katie and Michelle on the back cover. The one with the artwork by Pat Scavino. Yeah, the coaster is a weekly paper that's been in Asbury from the beginning, never gave up on Asbury. They have local news, and their music writer, Tom Chesick, he writes in the style of like the East Coast Rocker or Aquarian music newspapers that we used to have around here. They're long gone too. all these papers are in jeopardy. You know, local papers are struggling. But yeah, Tom writes in that style. You know, like kind of rock, like Cream magazine. You know, the rock magazine from Detroit in the '70s, which I learned from the coaster. There's a movie about it. I didn't even know. You know, the thing about the coaster is this section, you know, the what's up section, where they tell you who's playing where and all that, and what movies. Hey, I saw here, Cream, America's only rock and roll magazine. That looks great. That's playing at our friend's the showroom cinema, which has been closed all this time. You can stream it. Anyway, I'll try to watch that one. And what was I saying? Oh, the coaster. Why do I like the coaster so much? First of all, it's like if my picture's in this little section, it has the biggest impact out of all these papers. You know, I could be on the cover of the other ones and nobody will say anything, but it's a tiny little thing in the coaster and everybody goes, hey, I saw your picture in the paper. Really amazing. It has the biggest impact, like the biggest, it gets through the most normal people. Yeah, the coaster. One time the coaster broke a story about flipping properties in Asbury Park. They wrote about it about a month before the Asbury Park Press did, and then the Asbury Park Press got some kind of Pulitzer Award for it. So I'm giving the coaster some kind of award right now. The Boardwalk Social Club Medal of Honor. I would have to say the coaster is the best paper out of this whole bunch. If you are a local musician that wants to get his message out there, or a local politician. See, that's the thing about these papers. They keep the local politicians in line. If the local papers were to go, they would have nothing that holds them accountable. As it is now, it's very easy to get reelected. You know, someone in office has a 6% advantage just because they're the incumbent, or people will vote right down the party line without giving it much thought. If it wasn't for the papers like the coaster holding them accountable, the only thing they're afraid of is bad press. We need the coaster, we need local papers in America. They're threatened because of this, you know, because of the internet. People would rather, you know, I suppose young people aren't buying newspapers anymore is what it is. But I wish they would. And I wish people would advertise in the coaster. And you know what else is great about the coaster is they'll have stories like, they'll put pictures like this of a little kid, you know. They put kids in the newspaper. Stories that encourage kids, whether it's sports or school or whatever. It really means a lot for a little kid to have his picture in the paper. That's something great that they do. Like, how about that kid, the 13-year-old kid at the convention? The boy with the stutter. That was the most touching thing I've seen at a convention ever. And I watch them all. I've been watching them since I was 10. I remember the Democratic convention when I was 10 years old. Mayor Daley, he was the bad guy then. It's obvious to kids who the good guys and who the bad guys are. What else can I say about the coaster? I guess that's all I wrote about the coaster. Yeah, that's all I wrote. That's all she wrote. Yeah, the local newspapers are in need of help or assistance or something. Even if they had to be subsidized, it would be worth keeping them going because they really serve a great purpose. You know, out of all these papers, the one most in jeopardy is the Asbury Park Press, though. The one most likely to go out of business because they can't keep up with the times. Not the New York Times, but I mean, they're behind the times with their social thing against legalizing marijuana or their car culture thing. You know, they struggle because they're living in the past. Probably not a whole half hour yet, huh? That went pretty quick. I don't know what time it is. Usually I try to make them a half hour long. What else can I say about newspapers? You know, there's that famous photograph of Bob Dylan reading a Spanish-speaking newspaper that our friend Danny Clinch took. John Lennon read the paper, the Daily Mail. Sometimes he would keep the Beatles waiting at rehearsals and recording sessions while he finished it. I don't know if reading the paper every day is a good habit or a bad habit, but I'm really hooked on the newspaper, for better or worse. During the height of this thing, we canceled we put our our prescriptions on hold for 2 weeks, just to really, I didn't even want anybody coming in the yard, so we did like a media fast, and it went so fast and went by so quick. 2 weeks. Time passed differently during the most severe part of this lockdown, but it's back to normal, unfortunately, I guess. I don't know, too much back to normal. Anyway, I thought the convention was great. Now I love Joe Biden after I heard that story about him helping kids with a stutter. He's good. We want to make America good again. How about that? We settle for good. If you have to be a dick to make it something great, it's not worth it. Alrighty. Thanks to my friend Mark Pomanowski for playing along each week in the lovely town of Ocean Beach, San Francisco. Foggy place by the sea. Thanks to all my other musician friends for watching every week. Really appreciate it. Freddie Fry, guitar player. A lot of guitar players, some harmonica players. Brian Hanlon, his dad, Sean Hanlon, singer, sang at our wedding. So many people. Really flattered that all these musicians watch this. So, wrapping up, we like the Asbury Park Press for its music coverage and the fact that they were early supporter of Bruce Springsteen. You know, they covered Bruce before he was famous. They covered his first tour to California like it was real news. That was great. They can't be faulted for their music. It's just the rest of it. New York Times on our side with our main issue of pedestrian bicycle safety. New York Times is always in favor of more bike lanes, getting cars off the streets, returning streets to the public, as opposed to the way it is now. Cars on the streets, not people.
Who's your favorite New York Times opinion writer?
Favorite New York Times music writer was Robert Palmer. He was more like a musician than a writer. In fact, same with Bob Santelli. He's got the soul of a musician. You know, to talk to Bob about music is like talking to a musician. Same with some other people. Pete Mantis, the promoter. He knows as much about music as any of my musician friends. Or, the radio disc jockey, Rich Robinson, he's the same way. Knows everything about music. He just doesn't play an instrument. And I like the Tri-City News too. And everybody that writes for it. You know, sometimes with our adversaries, the people that fight against those in our quest to make Memorial Drive safer, or just the town safe enough to ride a bike for little kids, we have real nemesis. So sometimes we say we read the Tri-City News to see what our friends are up to, and then we read the Coaster to see what our enemies are up to. Politicians know the power of the Coaster.
I have friends in the Coaster too.
Our friend, the coaster,
Tom
Tom Chesick, he's a good guy that writes about us. He grew up in Middletown.
Kavinsky.
And then Tom Pavinsky, I like him. He writes about trees and gardening. Very good guy. And Ellen Carroll. It's a family operation, the coaster. It really is the most humble and honest. I mean, they don't have an agenda. All these other papers do. Not the coaster. They just want kids to be happy. So, thanks for watching every week, listening. We're going to play one more and say good afternoon. Next week's episode will be about specifically our quest to make Memorial Drive safe enough to walk across Monmouth County Road that's so dangerous, and the people that have made it so hard for us to do so, and the few that have helped us. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody.